Welcome to This Week in Jacksonville Business Edition. Thank you so much for joining us today. And as you know, this podcast focuses on economic development in the River City and throughout our region. So today, I am really excited about this. Today, we're looking at innovation in the ancient city. And so I'm going to introduce our guests quickly here for you so we can get into the conversation. Henry Hurd III, owner of VisitStAugustine.com, creator of the app, along with a colleague here, Cheyenne Koth-Leahy, one of the Visit St. Augustine staff writers. Definitely going to talk about what you're doing here. This is Gail Phillips, who I love and adore, executive director of the Lincolnville Museum and member of the St. Johns County Tourist Development Council. And then Leslie Keys is with us, local historian and historic preservationist. Why do we have this group together? Because Black History Month, and there's an app about Black history and a tour. So, Henry, we all took, we drew straws. You get to go first. Tell me about this, because it seems innovative, and it may not be the very first one in Florida like it, but this is really cool and unique to us. What is the app?
It's introducing Black history. Things that you can do with an app different than a website is the interactivity, and you have a captive audience. And so we thought it was a cool opportunity to share stuff. We had done a music app that's been pretty popular in St. Augustine, and the Visitor and Convention Bureau, Susan Phillips, came to us and asked us, could we collaborate and do a Black history app?
Yeah, so how long is this in the works? Obviously, it sounds like you saw some success with the other apps, the music app. How long has this been something you're working on?
We've been working on this for several months when Susan approached us. I think one of the reasons she approached us was the amount of original material, books and documents and stuff that we have collecting historical stuff. So, and working with historical people here with degrees in public history.
So it definitely, then, Cheyenne, I want to hear from you. What is the content? What do I find when I go on the app here?
So the app has a backbone of a timeline of events, and these events appear on people, historic person profiles, and historical place profiles that are related to St. Augustine's Black history. All of those pieces of content, the place profiles, the person profiles, and the people profiles, come together in the topic pages. So a topic page, for example, would be military history. So on the military history topic page, you would see the Castillo de San Marcos, of course. You might see Francisco Menendez, who was the leader of Fort Mose down in St. Augustine. And you're able to click on these profiles and click on the Castillo and see their timeline, which goes back all the way to the 1600s when that first Coquina fort was built. And you can see the people who were involved in the Black history of the Castillo. And it's a very interconnected digital resource for St. Augustine's history that somebody could enjoy, say, out of state planning a trip to St. Augustine, or they could enjoy it on Central Avenue, now MLK Avenue, and right in front of the Lincolnville Museum. You can scroll around and learn with your boots on the ground as well.
Yeah, this sounds really cool. I mean, St. Augustine, ancient city. I know early as a resident, also a tourist, trying to understand our community down there. It's like, oh, I'm going to take a tour. I'm going to get on the trolley. I'm going to do something that tells me about some of that rich, rich history. And to make this about the Black history in our area is just phenomenal. So Gail Phillips, Lincolnville Museum. This is why we did an interview just a couple of years ago. You were showing me around the museum. What does this mean to you that community is saying, hey, let's do something that will take people on a tour, right?
Well, I think it's a tremendous boost to Black history in St. Augustine in terms of not just being able to look it up on the website, but it's actually directional. So if somebody's actually there, they'll tell you, oh, you got another site a half a mile down the road, or 200 steps away. So from that standpoint, we're getting a new trolley stop. So as people get off the trolley, they can put on the app and they can see other places within the Lincolnville community in the Lincolnville Historic District.
Well, so you just brought it up. Yeah, Old Town Trolley, St. Augustine. We were reporting this week, hey, they're talking about adding a new stop on the route there in Lincolnville, and it's going to be right outside your place, right?
Absolutely. It's about 500 steps away from our front door.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an opportunity for the hundreds of thousands of people who come to St. Augustine every year to get to visit the Lincolnville Historic District for the first time, mind you. They went by the periphery on Bridge Street. And so now they actually get to come into the heart of Lincolnville, see some of the historic structures, walk the streets, and go to visit some of those other places that are there.
Well, yeah. Leslie Keys, why don't you join in here as well? St. Augustine does have, obviously, lots of history, but when it comes to Black history, really a rich tradition there, too.
Well, I think the timing on this is perfect.
Yeah.
In that 2024 is the 60th anniversary of the Civil Rights Act, which was our last major chapter to participate in. But it also reflects a series of other anniversaries. The Castillos, 100 years ago, became a national monument. So we have a number of anniversaries work really well to time with the app. It helps us take the history, Black history, back to 1513 because we had free and enslaved Africans here when Ponce de Leon came. We had some with Pedro Menendez in 1565. So our history goes longer, deeper, broader than anywhere else.
So I'll tell you, I was excited about putting this together. We started talking about we're going to get together and talk about this on this episode. And just a week ago, I met somebody new. She said she's from Jacksonville, maybe in her 40s. And I started telling her how excited I was about this topic. And she said, you know, for so long, I didn't even understand the depth of Black history in St. Augustine. That's part of the reason that this is, I think, so important. You mentioned timely. Cheyenne, yeah, how do you feel about some of the content points and what people are going to learn by using this app?
Ultimately, I really hope that the app supplements people's experiences at the historical sites that are already in St. Augustine. Of course, like the Lincolnville Museum, to give people a little bit of a glimpse into this is what I might learn about this place. This is, these are the historical, each profile will have a media gallery. So here are some of the images that are surrounding the story that any certain place is sharing. I think the points that Dr. Keys and Ms. Gale just highlighted are very important. Dr. Keys with the timeliness that we do want to tie in the current events in St. Augustine. There's so much going on, anniversaries, events, concerts, of course, in St. Augustine. We want to tie the present into the past and show just how connected these are. And Ms. Gale, when you highlighted that people are able to see, like, oh, well, I'm standing in front of the Lincolnville Museum, but, oh, half a mile away, the Accord is right over there, right around the corner, or some of the other spots on the Freedom Trail in Lincolnville. I think those are really good points to highlight about the app. The content is interconnected with the streets. Yeah,
I got to personally experience being inside the museum with you. What are some of those places outside the Lincolnville Museum that you'd say, oh, I sure hope somebody coming gets to experience this or see this place and understand the historical context?
Yeah, so we have, within the context of the Lincolnville community, the Accord has put together, I think it's like 14 markers of historic sites, mainly civil rights sites. So they have like a Freedom Trail within there, so they can see homes where Dr. King actually stayed when he was in St. Augustine. You'll see the historic churches, some of them almost 150 years old, going all the way back to Reconstruction era. Outside of the Freedom Trail, there are historic markers for other historic places in St. Augustine that are there. A little bit out of the loop a little bit is the Hailing Park, which is kind of new to our historic things, but there's a story about Dr. Hailing, so you'll see why it's named after him, and that history will be a part of it as well.
Yeah, my experience, I mean, we come to it at different points in our life where suddenly it's like, ooh, history is more interesting to me. I've got to know more. Cheyenne, I got to tell you, you're young and you're like, I know that I'm diving in. For me, it was certainly moving to a new place in 2010 and not really understanding St. Augustine as the oldest city and all of these kind of things. And then when you just it whets your appetite. When you just get a little bit more, you see that place, you understand Dr. King was there and those sorts of things. So Leslie Keys, it's Dr. Keys.
Yes.
I just picked that up a moment ago.
She was one of my students at Flagler College.
Oh, fantastic. So, Dr. Keyes, I just asked Gail Phillips here about this. What would you say? What are those things outside of what we would see inside the museum that are really important for people to experience in Black history?
Well, I think starting in the center of our historic city, since it's a Spanish city, the Plaza de la Constitución has been the centerpiece. So we have an obelisk that's the monument for the short time that Spain did not have a monarchy. But beyond that, surrounding it are the civil rights sites, including Andrew Young, who I was fortunate enough to be the ambassador's liaison for his family, excuse me.
Wow.
And we have Andrew Young crossing the steps that lead you into the plaza. And
Lots of pollen in the air.
it's okay. Taken a clear.
It hasn't rained in a while either.
Foot soldiers.
The foot soldiers, which is near that, as well as you head up toward the Bridge of Lions and the Bayfront. North 2 miles, if you go out past the fort, you would find Fort Mose.
Right.
And entertainment during this month, we just had Wynton Marsalis play with an orchestra last week. Kim Moe is this week.
Yeah.
So Fort Mose, the second Fort Mose, is going to be reconstructed. Huge grant funds are going to help rebuild that.
They've been working on that for a while.
Yeah.
That's awesome to know that that's
So we're
coming.
getting sort of tying all of that together is going to be great.
Emery, let me pivot back to you and visit staugustine.com. So what do you think the benefit is? So now we've got an app for this. You talked about having the app for music. Does it just make the experience better for tourism, for people who are coming in? Or is it sounds like it's also for the people who actually live here as well to have an added experience?
Well, I'm really excited that people can use the app. And the thing that I think that's better about that than the website is the opportunity that when you go to a place and you can see about the people that were there, and there might be somebody there that you want to follow, and then when you do that, it shows the events that they were involved in, and then you're learning more about other people at the event, and so you're going round and round and learning, and I just think it's neat.
Yeah.
Combination of stuff.
So many tangents that you can follow, so many rabbit holes down 500 years of Black history. And our development team, I do want to highlight, they've had lots of experience building the website, of course, building the music app, and they were honed and ready to build this Black history app. So the technical aspect of it is quite phenomenal. It's tightly designed. It's our crown jewel is how well this app is designed. It's very tight. It's got the GPS functionality, how the profiles appear on each other's pages. So you would see, of course, well, I'm familiar with Dr. MLK. I didn't know he was here in St. Augustine. I click on his profile. Who's this Robert B. Hailing guy? And Barbara Vickers, who was she? What did she do? It just opens it up for those, so many different
And we're going to be adding audio to it, too, so you can expand.
Adding audio to the app. Tell me more.
So, of course, now, as we can tell here, being all together for a podcast, the age of the podcast is very much in swing. So little audio bites, maybe myself or one of our other employees or somebody from the Lincolnville giving a short talk about R.B. Hailing or about a monument that somebody is standing in front of would be amazing. Also, there is a public domain Zora Neale Hurston audio of her actually singing Florida folk songs. And it's, I think, circa 1930s, and it's on the Florida Memory website, which has been a wonderful, wonderful resource this whole time. Of course, Library of Congress as well. But we really want to share those multimedia resources in the app because we have the freedom of the internet, we have the freedom of technology, our imagination and our development team's abilities are really the only limit that we have. So video, audio, that kind of stuff, we're really eager to braid it all together.
Is there partnership? Are you hearing from other entities in the city? Is Flagler College behind this, or are there the chamber? I don't know. Are there other people who are saying, yeah, we want to see this succeed too?
Well, I think the Visitor and Convention Bureau, which is the primary sponsor, partner, impetus for all this, because we get at least 3.5 million visitors a year in our tiny little city of 15,000 people. But we also have a number of residents who have moved into the area in the last decade that don't know much about the community. Their families are all going to come visit and friends, so we have the potential to really turn this into
I experienced
a
that
great
very early moving to
experiential-
St. Augustine. Yes, exactly, because it is that, as you described, kind of that wet your whistle. If you know a little bit, hey, I want to know a little bit more. Maybe we wrap this up. Henry, go ahead.
Part of the cooperation is we want to do things for Gail and the Lincolnville Museum that make her happy, that we're presenting what she wants in the way that she wants it, so that people looking at the app want to visit her museum and see what's going on there.
We are eager to collaborate with the community stakeholders in St. Augustine and have started doing so with this initial project stage for the app. Gail, the Accord Museum, proofreading some of our content. I do have a guest article lined up from the Mission Nombre de Dios. Their curator over there has contacted me this week.
So it's important also to recognize that the Visitors and Convention Bureau is actually part of what they do is sponsored by the Tourism Development Council. I'm now the chair of that organization as of last meeting.
You looked a little shell-shocked.
Congratulations. Yeah.
The thing is that there is an overall kind of like momentum to share this history, which I've been preaching for a while now, that we have the oldest Black history in America in St. Augustine, and it's high time we told the rest of the world that we're here.
Here, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I appreciate that. I know that I got excited just seeing a little news release about it, and then getting to hear from you and each of you the contributions and what's happening there. So thank you very, very much. We'll wrap this up here, but I'll tell you what, I appreciate each of you as guests. Go for it. Get more people to understand this incredible heritage that St. Augustine has when it comes to Black history. I love how you put that just a moment ago, but thank you so much for your contributions and best success. And thank you for watching today. So This Week in Jacksonville Business Edition, as you know, focuses on economic development and growth in our region. We look forward to being able to bring you another episode next week.